Okay, I know what you're thinking. A penny? Worth millions? Yeah, right. Well, sit tight because today, we're diving into the wild world of rare coins. You see, that humble little Abraham Lincoln penny from 1993, yes, the one that most of us toss around without thinking twice, could actually be sitting on a small fortune. You won't believe the value this little coin could have, and I'm not just talking a few bucks. We're talking millions. Yes, you heard me right. A whopping $2.6 million. So, how does a coin that's barely worth the copper it's made of turn into a multi-million-dollar treasure? Well, stick around, and I'll spill the beans on how that penny could make you richer than you ever thought possible. Let's get into it. Now, I can almost hear you. How could a 1993 penny be worth more than my lunch today? Good question, my friend. And that's what we're about to unravel. The 1993 D penny, in particular, has become an overnight sensation in the numismatic world. And to be clear, we're talking about a penny that was minted in Denver, marked with the D Mint mark. Let's set the scene. It's 1993. You've got your flannel shirt on, your Walkman in hand, and the world is obsessed with grunge. Meanwhile, the US Mint is just cranking out these pennies like it's no big deal. But here's the thing. Rare errors in coin production happen all the time. And one small mistake can turn a regular coin into something much, much more valuable. And that's exactly what happened with this penny. You see, the 1993 D penny, while being mass-produced like any other penny, had a little hiccup at the mint. Some of these pennies were struck with a double die error. What does that mean? Well, the design on the coin wasn't properly aligned. So, instead of the usual single imprint of Abraham Lincoln's face, there were two slightly misaligned impressions. And this tiny error makes all the difference. Now, I can already hear you asking, how can I tell if I've got one of these rare pennies? Well, good news, I'm going to show you. The first thing you want to do is check the date and mint mark on your penny. If it's a 1993 penny with a D mint mark and you can spot any sort of doubling in the lettering or the details on Abraham Lincoln's face, that's a good sign you're holding a little piece of history. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I've got a jar full of pennies and I'm not seeing anything special. Well, it's not the end of the world. The odds of you finding a 1993 D with this error are pretty slim, but trust me, it's happened. And the ones that are graded as near perfect, let's say a 67 or higher on the grading scale, those are the ones that could fetch up to $2.6 million. Yup, you heard that right. There are collectors out there who are willing to pay insane amounts of money for this kind of error. Now, let me tell you a quick story. About 5 years ago, I was rummaging through my old coin collection. I had a jar full of pennies I had been hoarding since I was a kid. I thought they were just, well, pennies. But something told me to check through them one day. After all, they say you never know what you might find, right? So, I'm sitting there, flipping through these pennies, and I come across one that catches my eye. It's a 1982 penny. I think, nothing special, and I nearly toss it back into the jar. But something in my gut said, hold on, wait a second. Turns out, that penny was a rare copper composition coin. Not the zinc one most 1982 pennies are made of. That single penny, which I almost threw away, was worth around $100. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it was worth millions, but it was definitely a nice little surprise. Moral of the story? Don't toss your coins just yet. Okay, let's get back to the business side of things. If you do happen to find one of these rare 1993 D double die pennies, getting it graded is crucial. You're not going to get top dollar if it's just sitting in your pocket with fingerprints all over it. Trust me, coin collectors are all about condition. You need a professional grading service to tell you just how rare and valuable your coin is. There are some big players in the game like the Professional Coin Grading Service, or PCGS, and the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC. They'll give your coin a grade that could potentially bump up its value by thousands of dollars. Side note, if you do send your coin to be graded, don't lose your mind over every tiny scratch or smudge. Even a coin with some wear can still be worth a pretty penny, pun intended. So, here's the takeaway from all of this. That 1993 D penny that you might be seeing as just another penny could very well be the key to unlocking a huge payday. If you've got one, don't just toss it away. Examine it carefully, Get it graded if you think it's a potential gem, and who knows? You could be the next person laughing all the way to the bank. But even if it's not worth millions, remember, every penny counts, literally. And hey, if you're looking to learn more about coins worth money, tips, tricks, and everything in between, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss out on more money-making strategies and coin collecting tips. Trust me, you're going to want to stay tuned. If you enjoyed this video and want more content like this, give me a thumbs up and drop a comment below with your coin stories. I love hearing what you found. Now, I don't know about you, but I've spent way too many hours flipping through change, hoping to find that one rare coin that could make me a millionaire. And while it's definitely fun to dream, sometimes it's not just a dream. Let me tell you, I recently came across something that made me say, hold up, am I sitting on a gold mine here? You've got an old penny just hanging out in your coin jar, not looking like much, just a regular Abraham Lincoln penny, right? Wrong. If you've got a 2019 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, you could be looking at a coin worth a whopping $2.7 million. Yes, you heard that right, million with an M. Stick around, because I'm about to tell you why this penny could make you richer than a lot of people you know. So, let's break this down a bit. You've probably heard of rare coins before, and you might have even thought you could spot them a mile away, but this 2019 penny is kind of like that quiet kid in the back of the classroom who suddenly turns out to be a math genius. It's sneaky, it's rare, and if you find one, it could be a game changer for you. First, let's talk about mint marks. If you're familiar with coins at all, you know that mint marks are those little letters on coins that tell you where they were made, like D for Denver or S for San Francisco. Well, in 2019, the US Mint didn't put any mint marks on certain pennies that were struck in Philadelphia. It's a little bit like if you walked into a coffee shop, ordered a drink, and they didn't put the usual logo on the cup. You'd think, that's odd. But it might just be a limited edition thing. That's exactly what we have here. But here's the kicker. This penny with no mint mark is so rare that it's causing collectors to go absolutely wild. A few of these pennies have sold at auction for incredible amounts, and one in particularly good condition recently hit an eye-popping $2.7 million. It's like finding a $100 bill in your couch cushions, but times 1,000. Let's talk about why these pennies are so valuable. A big part of it is just how rare they are. The Philadelphia Mint usually stamps its coins with a P for Philadelphia, but for whatever reason, some 2019 pennies slipped through the cracks without one. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't some grand conspiracy. Sometimes, errors happen during production, and this little mistake turned into a massive opportunity for those lucky enough to find one of these no mint mark pennies. Now, before you rush off to check every penny you've ever owned since 2019, let's manage those expectations. Not every penny is going to be worth millions. These coins are rare, and the ones that are in good condition are even rarer. If you find one, you're not going to automatically be sitting on a fortune. But hey, if you do have one in decent condition, you might just want to get it appraised, because you never know when you've found a hidden gem. Here's where I'll share a quick personal story. A couple of years ago, I found what I thought was a rare coin in a box of old stuff I inherited from my uncle. I thought, this has to be the one. I took it to a coin shop, all excited, and the dealer looked at it for maybe 2 seconds and said, it's just a regular 1982 penny. So much for my dreams of being the next big coin mogul. But what I learned from that experience is that you can't just hope you've got something valuable. You've got to do your research and check things out properly. If you're lucky enough to find a 2019 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, though, this could be your ticket to big-time cash. So, if you've got one of those in your collection, it's time to make sure you're sitting on a potential gold mine. Alright, now you've got all the info you need to go digging through your coin collection. If you find one of these 2019 Lincoln pennies with no mint mark, don't just spend it on a soda or a bag of chips. Get it checked out. It could be worth far more than you'd think. And hey, if you're into the idea of finding more rare coins, or if you just want to learn all the tips and tricks to make sure you're not missing out on other valuable coins, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We've got tons more content coming your way to help you build your coin collection and maybe even find the next big treasure. Thanks for watching and happy hunting. And remember, the next time you're rooting through change, that penny might not be just a penny. It could be your ticket to $1 million payday. Have you ever stumbled upon a penny that makes you think, Hmm, this is just like every other penny, right? Well, that's exactly what I thought too, until I discovered a crazy little nugget of history that could potentially make you a millionaire. Now, imagine finding a penny that's worth $2.8 million. Yep, you heard that right. Stick with me because today we're diving into the fascinating world of the 2014 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny and what makes this little copper disc so valuable. So, before you go tossing any pennies out of your pocket, let's take a deep dive into why this particular penny could be the golden ticket you've been looking for. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, 2014? That's like just a few years ago, right? Surely there couldn't be anything special about a penny from 2014. Well, buckle up, because this penny is anything but ordinary. In 2014, the US Mint was churning out coins like they were going out of style. They were making tons of pennies with the usual mint marks, but there was a small handful that slipped through the cracks. And that's when the magic happened. A penny without a mint mark, which is a mistake or error coin. You see, every penny made at the US Mint is supposed to have a mint mark, which tells you which mint produced it. But a few 2014 pennies were released without the mint mark. That tiny oversight makes these coins extraordinarily rare. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, how does this mistake make this penny worth $2.8 million? Well, here's where it gets wild. Because there are so few of these no mint mark pennies out there, collectors started going crazy for them. And when the bidding war started, the price just skyrocketed. So, why is this penny worth so much? Well, rarity is the name of the game in coin collecting. The fewer of something there are, the higher the demand and the higher the price tag. I mean, think about it. If everyone had a rare penny, it wouldn't be rare anymore. But when only a few of them are out there, that's when things get spicy. When one of these 2014 no mint mark pennies first hit the market, collectors were tripping over themselves to get their hands on it. The price tag started climbing, and it didn't stop. Before long, the value was sitting at around $2.8 million. Yes, a penny was worth more than my entire apartment. But, of course, there's a catch. Not every 2014 penny without a mint mark is worth that kind of money. It's about condition, certification, and of course, that one rare penny that just happens to be in the right hands at the right time. So, don't go thinking every 2014 penny you find is going to make you an instant millionaire. But, hey, stranger things have happened, right? Alright, so now you're probably wondering, how do I know if I have one of these rare pennies? Well, it's easier than you might think. Look at your 2014 penny and check the front. You should see Lincoln's face staring back at you, like he's just waiting for you to spot the magic. But here's the crucial part. You need to look for the absence of the mint mark, which is supposed to be right under the date on the coin. If there's no mint mark, or if it's just mysteriously absent, you've got yourself a potential jackpot. But that's not all. You also want to check the condition of your coin. If it's been sitting in a jar for years and is all scratched up or tarnished, it won't fetch the big bucks. The best condition coins are the ones that collectors are going to go after. Now, I know what you're thinking. But what if my penny is covered in dirt or looks like it was buried in the backyard? Well, that's where some good old-fashioned cleaning comes in. But hold up, don't go scrubbing it with a toothbrush just yet. Cleaning coins can actually decrease their value, so be gentle. If you're unsure, take it to a professional. Trust me, it's worth the investment. Okay, so here's where I have to tell you a little embarrassing story from my own life. A few years ago, I thought I found a gold mine of rare coins in my couch cushions. I was like, this is it. I'm about to retire early. I pulled out about 20 pennies, a few dimes, and what I thought was an ancient quarter. I started doing my research, but guess what? Turns out my ancient quarter was just a really dirty coin from the early 2000s. And the pennies? Well, they were worth maybe a penny, and a little embarrassment. So, before you get too excited, remember, it's not every day that you find a $2.8 million coin. But that doesn't mean there aren't other hidden gems in your collection, so. There you have it, the 2014 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. It's a small coin with a big value. Could you have one in your pocket right now? Maybe. Is it likely? Well, let's just say it's like finding a needle in a haystack. But hey, you never know. So, keep your eyes peeled and don't toss those pennies just yet. Before I wrap this up, here's my call to action. If you found this info interesting and you want more tips on coin collecting, coin values, and how to spot rare finds, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll be here, helping you sort through your change and maybe even helping you stumble upon your next big treasure. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy hunting for that elusive $2.8 million penny, or, just a really cool coin. Do you have a 2002 penny lying around in that jar of loose coins you never seem to get around to sorting? Well, stop what you're doing, because that little piece of copper could be worth, wait for it, $2.9 million. Yup, you heard me right, $2.9 million. Now, before you start flipping over every penny you own like a maniac, let me tell you about one of the rarest pennies out there, the 2002 No Mint Mark Lincoln penny, and why it could make you richer than you ever imagined. So, here's the deal. Most of us think a penny's a penny, right? I mean, it's the least valuable coin in our wallets. You find it on the street, you think, yeah, whatever, and move on. But there are some pennies out there that are worth way more than their weight in copper. And that, my friends, brings us to the 2002 No Mint Mark penny. This particular coin could be worth a small fortune, and it's not a myth or some crazy internet rumor. Now, you're probably wondering, what's so special about a penny with no mint mark? Well, let me break it down for you. See, every year, the US Mint stamps a little letter on coins that indicates where they were made. If the coin was produced in Philadelphia, it gets a P. If it was made in Denver, it gets a D. But in 2002, some pennies came out with no mint mark at all. And this error has caused a huge stir among collectors because it's a 1 in a million mistake. Host holds up two hands, one with a normal penny and the other with a no mint mark penny. The thing is, most of these coins were caught in production and scrapped, but a few lucky ones escaped, and they're the ones that are now worth a small fortune. How much are they worth, you ask? Oh, just around $2.9 million if you have one in mint condition. Yeah, I know that's crazy. You probably just looked at your coin jar and thought, should I start hunting through my collection now? I mean, who wouldn't want $1 million penny? It's like finding a unicorn in your backyard. But you gotta be careful. There are a lot of fakes out there. Some people might try to pass off regular pennies as no mint mark pennies, so you need to know what you're looking for. Cut to a close-up of a 2002 penny with the mint mark clearly visible and a second penny with no mint mark. Here's how you spot one. First, check for the absence of a mint mark right under Abraham Lincoln's shoulder. If there's nothing there, boom, it could be a rare one. Next, you want to check the overall condition. Is it scratched up and dirty? Probably not worth much. But if it looks fresh, shiny, and practically brand new, you could be looking at a very valuable coin. Let me tell you a funny story. A few years ago, I went through a phase where I started collecting random coins I found. I thought I was onto something big, and I even started hunting through my piggy bank and pockets for these hidden treasures. One day, I came across this penny, and I thought, this is it. This is the one. I checked it, and no mint mark. I was like, here we go. I was ready to cash in on my newfound fortune. Then, I took it to a coin expert, and guess what they said? Turns out, I had a regular 2002 penny. It was just a bit worn out, and I had convinced myself it was rare because I was too excited. Lesson learned. Always double-check, and maybe take a deep breath before calling yourself the next millionaire. Anyway, back to business. If you're lucky enough to find a 2002 no mint mark penny in great shape, here's the thing. You might want to get it appraised. It's important to get an expert's opinion. And if you're lucky enough to have one, you might be looking at one of the rarest and most expensive coins in history. So, what are the odds of you finding one of these $2.9 million pennies? Well, they're pretty slim. But that's the fun of coin collecting, right? You never know what you're gonna find, and every coin has its story. Maybe you have a hidden treasure sitting in your pocket right now, just waiting to make you a fortune. Make sure to check your coins carefully, do some research, and hey, if you've got a 2002 no mint mark penny in mint condition, you might just become a millionaire. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more tips and tricks on coins worth money, strategies to collect the rarest pieces, and maybe even some insider info on how to cash in on your collection. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Have you ever gone through your spare change only to find that one penny that makes you stop and say, wait a second, is this worth something? Well, if you happen to have a 1998 penny with no mint mark, you might want to double check because it could be worth, drumroll, $1 million. Yeah, you heard me right. A penny. So, let's dive into how this little coin went from being a humble piece of pocket change to a potential gold mine. Stick around, because if you think you've got the next big find, I'll show you exactly how to tell and how to make sure you're not letting a small fortune slip through your fingers. You're probably thinking, $1 million for a penny? That's gotta be a joke. But trust me, it's not. Let me break it down for you. Most pennies from 1998 have a mint mark. If you flip them over and look at the reverse side, you'll usually see a little D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But in 1998, the US Mint decided to make a few pennies without any mint mark at all. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, so what's so special about that? Here's where it gets interesting. The absence of a mint mark on a 1998 penny wasn't just a regular mistake. It was a mistake that wasn't supposed to happen in the first place. The thing is, only pennies that were supposed to be minted at the Philadelphia Mint, where they typically don't put mint marks, were produced without one. But for some reason, a batch of 1998 pennies from Denver, yes, Denver, slipped through without the D mint mark. And those few missing mint mark coins are wildly rare. Now, we're talking about a coin worth a cool million, right? You're probably thinking, how in the world could a penny that's been floating around in circulation for all these years be worth a fortune? Well, it all comes down to scarcity. These pennies were never meant to exist without that little D on them. And because they're so rare, coin collectors and investors go nuts for them. The thing is, these rare coins didn't just vanish overnight. Some of them have been hiding in plain sight for years, maybe even right in your pocket. And that's not all. A penny without a mint mark isn't the only one in the running for big money. There are other rare and error coins out there, like double-die pennies, which could fetch thousands. But the 1998 no mint mark penny, well, that's the one everyone's been dreaming about. It's pretty simple, actually. All you need to do is check the year on your penny and see if there's a mint mark. If you've got a 1998 penny, flip it over and check the reverse side. If there's no D or S, then bam, you've got a potential gold mine on your hands. But hold your horses. Just because you don't see a mint mark doesn't automatically mean your penny is worth $1 million. There's a lot of fakes out there, so you need to have a professional check it out to make sure you're not dealing with a hoax. If your penny is real, though, you could be sitting on a fortune. Speaking of finding rare coins, let me tell you a little story about my own experience. I remember the first time I found a coin that I thought could be worth a lot of money. I was going through a stack of old coins my grandmother left me when I came across a 1955 penny. Now, I had no idea back then that 1955 pennies with the double die could be worth a lot. I thought it was just a regular penny, and I almost tossed it aside. But lucky for me, I didn't. Turns out, it was one of those rare double die coins, and it was worth more than I could ever have imagined. Needless to say, I had it appraised and sold it for a nice chunk of change. That experience really opened my eyes to just how valuable coins can be when you know what to look for. So, before you toss that penny into your piggy bank or pocket change jar, take a minute to check it out. If it's a 1998 no mint mark penny, who knows? You might just be holding $1 million coin in your hand. If you found this video helpful and you're ready to uncover more hidden treasures in your pocket change, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've got more tips, tricks, and coin strategies to help you find the coins that are worth real money. No more losing out on those treasures. You won't want to miss the next episode where I'll show you more rare coins that could make you rich. So, go on, take a look at your pennies, and who knows? Maybe you'll be the next big coin collector success story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. So, you've probably got a pocket full of pennies, right? Maybe you're walking around thinking they're pretty much worthless. Well, what if I told you that one of those little copper coins could be worth $1.10 million? Sounds crazy, right? But it's true. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1964 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny and why this coin is one of the hottest, most valuable coins on the market right now. Buckle up, because this story is one for the history books. Literally, while most of us would consider a penny Well, just a penny. A rare 1964 Lincoln penny has been making waves in the coin collecting world. This isn't just your typical old penny that's been sitting in your jar for years. This bad boy is a jackpot. I mean, who knew something that small could be worth more than my car, my rent, and possibly my entire wardrobe combined? Now, you might be wondering, why is this penny so special? What makes it worth $1.1 million? Well, great question. Let's take a closer look at this little piece of history. The 1964 penny is part of the Lincoln series, which, as you probably know, was first introduced way back in 1909. But here's where things get interesting. In 1964, the U.S. Mint produced millions of pennies, but there was a particular batch from the Denver Mint, hence the D Mint mark, that didn't quite meet the quality standards. Some of those pennies ended up with a major flaw in the die, an error that's highly sought after by collectors today. This error is known as a double die or die variety, where the engraving of Abraham Lincoln's image on the penny was doubled. It's a subtle error, but when you spot it, it makes all the difference. And let me tell you, this isn't just any little misprint. People have been flipping out over it, paying top dollar to add one of these to their collections. Let me throw out a quick story to show you just how crazy this whole thing is. A couple of years ago, I was at a coin show, just casually browsing the tables. Mind you, I had my fair share of not-so-valuable coins in my pocket, feeling pretty smug about them. Anyway, there was this older guy who, out of nowhere, started talking about his 1964 penny. He said he'd found it when he was a kid, just playing around in his backyard, not thinking anything of it. Fast forward to today, he's sitting on a gold mine. He sold that very penny for over $100,000 at an auction. Can you imagine that? One penny, one tiny coin, could change someone's life. So, if you're wondering if you could have one of these hidden treasures in your own stash of loose change, here's how you can tell. First, check the date, 1964. Then, flip it over and look for that little D mint mark on the back. But make sure the doubling error is there. It can be tricky to spot, but with a magnifying glass or under really good light, you should be able to see a little extra shadow or a doubled image, especially around Lincoln's ear and the lettering. If you don't find the doubling, don't be too disappointed. Most 1964 pennies are just regular coins worth a couple of cents. But if you do, my friend, you might be holding on to a small fortune. But here's the thing. If you think you've got one, don't just run to the nearest pawn shop to cash in. It's crucial to get your penny professionally graded by a trusted service, like PCGS or NGC. Grading is important because it determines the exact condition of the coin, and that plays a massive role in how much it's worth. If your coin gets a top grade, you could be looking at tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Get it wrong, and it might be worth just a few bucks. So, always double-check now. For all the nerdy coin collectors out there, myself included, you're probably already getting excited. But here's something even crazier. In 2018, a flawless 1964 double die penny was auctioned off for a jaw-dropping $1.1 million. That's not a typo. $1 million for a penny. Now, I don't know about you, but I've definitely spent a lot more than $1.1 million on pizza in my life. But a penny? That's next level. So, now you're probably thinking, okay, do I just start hoarding every 1964 penny I come across? Well, not exactly. Remember, not all 1964 pennies are going to be worth that kind of money. The ones that fetch those astronomical prices have to have the right doubling, perfect condition, and the right provenance. But if you do come across a lucky find, don't just toss it into a jar. Get it checked out by a professional, and who knows? You could be the next person to make a small fortune from something as simple as a penny. All right, folks, that's it for today's deep dive into the world of the 1964 Mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny and its incredible market value. I hope this video made you take a second look at that pile of pennies you have lying around the house. You never know, you could be sitting on a small fortune without even realizing it. If you learned something new today, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and ring the bell so you never miss another coin tip or strategy. Trust me, there's a lot more where this came from. And hey, if you find a 1964 penny, let me know. I'll be happy to celebrate with you. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep hunting for those hidden treasures in your change. Who knows? You've probably seen a penny lying around at some point. maybe even tossed a few into a fountain for luck. But what if I told you that one penny, just one tiny copper coin, could be worth over $1.20 million? No, this isn't some late-night infomercial, and I'm not selling you a magical coin. I'm talking about the 2008 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Stick with me, because we're diving into why this little coin is causing such a big stir in the numismatic world. And trust me, you might just find a hidden gem in your change jar. All right, let's break it down. This isn't your average penny. In fact, the 2008 Abraham Lincoln penny should have a mint mark. You know, that little D or S that tells you where the coin was made, whether it was minted in Denver, Philadelphia, or San Francisco. But here's the twist. The 2008 penny doesn't have any mint mark on it. Yep, that's right. A mystery penny with no mint mark, and it's got collectors drooling. Now, before you start raiding your pockets and purses, let me tell you, these pennies aren't just any missing mint mark coins. They were actually part of a production error, not an intentional rarity. See, back in 2008, the U.S. Mint was rolling out these pennies for the Abraham Lincoln Bicentennial series to celebrate 200 years since Honest Abe's birth. They released a series of designs, one for each year leading up to 2010, and you guessed it, some of those 2008 pennies slipped out with no mint mark at all. Well, it was likely a manufacturing mistake or a misstep in quality control. The minting machines were supposed to add the mint mark, but some of them forgot. Now, typically, the U.S. Mint is on top of this stuff. They usually catch errors like this, but in this case, a handful of pennies made it out of the factory and into circulation, completely unnoticed for years. And that's what's so cool about them. Now, you're probably wondering, how do I know if I've got one of these million-dollar pennies in my wallet? Well, it's all about spotting the telltale sign. No mint mark. Normally, you'd find a small D or S beneath the date. But if your 2008 penny is mint mark-free, congratulations. You could have a coin worth far more than its face value. So, what's the deal with this coin's value? As of now, a 2008 no mint mark penny has been known to fetch up to a jaw-dropping $1.2 million at auction. That's right, one penny, a single cent, worth $1.2 million. And no, it's not some wishful thinking. These pennies have made headlines because of their rarity and the high demand from collectors who want to add them to their collection. I can just picture some collector in a dusty old library somewhere, poring over his catalog of pennies, with the 2008 no mint mark as his holy grail. If you happen to find one of these hidden treasures, it might be worth getting it graded by a professional. A certified coin grader can help you confirm the rarity and value. But be warned, finding one of these pennies is rarer than a unicorn at a tea party. Let me share a quick personal story with you. A few years back, I was cleaning out my old box of coins, the one I inherited from my grandmother. It was just filled with random change. Nothing special, just old nickels, dimes, and pennies. But one day, while sifting through the pile, I found a penny from 1943. I wasn't too sure about it, but I remembered hearing something about a special penny from that year. It turns out I had a 1943 copper penny, and if I had gotten it graded back then, it could have been worth thousands of dollars. I missed out on a big payday because I didn't know what I had at the time. Lesson learned. So, when I heard about the 2008 no mint mark penny, I couldn't help but wonder if there was a hidden treasure in my own collection. And that's why I'm telling you, don't just toss those pennies in the jar. Check them out. You never know what you might have sitting there. If you're out there checking your pockets or sorting through a collection, keep an eye out for those 2008 pennies with no mint mark. You could be holding on to something worth a lot more than just a penny. And hey, even if you don't find $1 million coin, there are tons of other valuable coins out there that could change your life, or at least help you fund a new hobby. And if you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about other coins worth money, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a tip. I'm constantly digging up new coin knowledge to share with you, and you'll want to stay in the loop for all the hidden treasures you might be overlooking. You won't believe what I stumbled upon the other day. Something so wild, it could make your wallet do a happy dance. Imagine this, a penny, just a regular penny, could be worth, wait for it, $1.3 million. Yes, you heard me right, folks. And no, I'm not talking about some golden, magical, unicorn-infused coin. I'm talking about the infamous 1976 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. So, What's the deal with this tiny piece of metal? How does it go from being worth 1 cent to a cool $1.3 million? Grab your magnifying glass, sit tight, and let's dive into the amazing story behind this coin that's worth far more than its weight in copper. All right, let's rewind a little and break this down. In 1976, we were all rocking bell-bottom jeans, listening to disco, and eating Twinkies like there was no tomorrow. It was the year of the Bicentennial, celebrating 200 years since the birth of the United States. The U.S. Mint was cranking out commemorative coins left and right to mark the occasion. But here's the kicker. During all the hustle and bustle, a few 1976 pennies were produced with a missing mint mark. Now, if you don't know much about mint marks, don't worry. Here's the quick rundown. Most coins have a tiny letter near the date to tell you which mint produced them, like D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But, for some reason, a handful of 1976 pennies rolled off the production line without any mint mark. And trust me, these bad boys are rarer than a unicorn on roller skates. You might be thinking, how does a little missing letter make this penny worth a fortune? Well, my friend, that's the beauty of numismatics, fancy word for coin collecting. That tiny mistake turned this penny into a major collector's item. And when one of these babies popped up on the market, it fetched a jaw-dropping $1.3 million at auction. Yep, that's not a typo. A penny became a $1 million masterpiece. Finding one of these coins is like searching for a needle in a haystack. The rarity of a 1976 no-mint mark penny means that they're not exactly lying around in your spare change jar. If you've got one, congratulations, you're officially sitting on a gold mine. But for the rest of us, let's just say your next trip to the convenience store might not lead to a life-changing discovery. Now, let me tell you a little story from my own experience. I've been collecting coins for years, and just like you, I've had my fair share of could-have-been-worth-something moments. There was this one time. I found a 1982 penny that I thought was pretty special because it looked shiny and brand new. I did some research, and guess what? It wasn't worth much at all. In fact, I spent more time dreaming of my coin becoming a treasure than it was actually worth. Sigh. But then, I started paying closer attention to the small details. I realized that a lot of the coins we overlook, those with odd characteristics or slight imperfections, could actually be worth more than their face value. It's all about being educated and knowing what to look for. So, don't get discouraged if your first discovery doesn't turn into a fortune. The more you learn, the closer you get to striking gold. The 1976 Abraham Lincoln penny without a mint mark is a prime example of how rare mistakes can turn into pure gold in the world of coin collecting. And if you're sitting on one of these pennies right now, well, you're holding on to something that could make you a very, very rich person. But if not, hey, don't worry. There are plenty of other hidden gems out there in the world of coins. Now, if you enjoyed this little deep dive into the world of coin collecting, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, because I've got tons more tips, tricks, and treasure hunting stories coming your way. From finding rare coins to learning strategies that'll help you make the most out of your collection, you won't want to miss out on what's coming next. Trust me, it's worth it. Just like that 1976 penny does. So, keep your eyes peeled, your magnifying glass ready, and remember, you never know when a simple penny could turn into a $1 million masterpiece.